Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Matara, Jai Bhairava. So today's video is not so much about any specific sadhana, but more related to a current affairs thing. As you all might be aware that there is a protest of students that is happening in Delhi, and the way it has escalated, the way there was a protest march, I think on Monday, where the students and the large gathering of people who wanted to march towards the parliament and ask for questions and ask for answers, and there was a huge amount of police brutality that was done on these students who were protesting. In the context of that, there have been many emails that have come to us. Many of them are students who do Bhairava sadhana over years now, and they are extremely disappointed, extremely hurt, and extremely pained that the government or the agencies decided to conduct such a brutal, ruthless, and dangerous physical assault on students who were asking for very legitimate questions. So, all this, those who are aware would perhaps know that this got triggered by the rampant corruption and leaking of question papers. There's an organized syndicate sort of that has been, leaking question papers of the NEET, and uh, which is kind of disappointed and caused a lot of anguish and anxiety among the aspirants who have been preparing for these exams. So anybody who has gone through exams knows that it is a very stressful period, stressful time. On top of that, if there are repeated leaks of papers, there's no systemic change done, there is no recognition of the problems that are happening, and most importantly, there is no accountability. So this is the important part of this whole thing. There has to be accountability. If you are an elected representative, if you are somebody who has some authority, you have to take responsibility. And if you refuse to take responsibility, if there is an egoistic attitude that no, I'm not going to compromise come what may, that arrogance, it only makes things worse. Many of these young people are actually those who have been doing Bhairava Upasana for a few years, and that is why we have received so many emails from them. People who have been present at the site of protest, people who are in different parts of India, not physically connected to the site of the protest, but mentally in support of the protest that is happening. And many of them feel hurt and hopeless at the kind of reaction that the government has done. Let us be clear on one thing. While I personally do not engage in or speak about politics, because my aim is to inspire more and more people to develop an unflinching faith on the gods whom I worship, and not on politicians and people and intermediaries and all that. Which is why I try and avoid discussions of politics in this channel or in other places, unless there is a direct infringement of dharma. For example, in the case of the Kamakhya corridor matter. But even then, uh, the message that I had put out over the years, if you go and check my videos, was more or less with respect to protection of the kshetra, not so much as an analysis of whether this government is better or that government is better. Primarily because I don't want to influence your political opinion. Each individual has a right to believe whichever party he or she thinks is suitable for him, and it is a very fundamental right of being a citizen of this country. However, what did happen that day, and thankfully we have enough, an endless stream of videos, photos, live commentaries of people who were there, and the social media is flooded with it. So we know that there was very clearly two things are established. One, that the police force, had come prepared to execute extreme amount of violence on the protesting students, which is why there were people carrying tear gas and specific type of police sticks, which with which they can they beat up riot uh, causing people, and which had nails and other kind of things embedded in them to cause maximum amount of damage and inflict pain. All this to stop students from marching towards the parliament. The whole ridiculousness of this is absolutely mind boggling. And unless somebody has sold himself or herself out to the government, and there are many people like that, it happens, it's an ecosystem. Whenever there is some power center, be it a government or something, there will be a few group of sycophants who will gather around the government. Their primary job is to question whoever questions the government. For example, I'm seeing a certain narrative by a small section of people, but very dedicated in their devotion to the government, because their livelihoods run by the government doles or by the access that the ministers or others provide them, questioning that this is all anti-national and there is some huge conspiracy. So this is a theme we have seen for the last 10, 12 years. Any question is branded as anti-national, branded as something to do with a deep state conspiracy, this, that, etc. Um, I have a question, counter question. So suppose, let's take a theoretical situation. There is somebody who, there's a party who comes to power and gets 240 seats, and from then on it tries to break other political parties, losing candidates, whatever, everything and everyone from whichever side they can gather, and using a method of either alluring them with money or threatening them with raids by central agencies, shore up their numbers. Isn't that a form of cheating the public? I mean, that's a basic common sense question. To me, this kind of activity is far more anti-national than any kind of speculative deep state conspiracy, alien conspiracy, this and that, all sorts of theories that we are put forth, that we are told by either the very pliant mainstream media or the bunch of sycophants that hang around these the corridors of power, whose job is to question anybody who questions the government. If you Very recently we saw a case where somebody was there were raids and all sorts of ed raids, etc., done on people who have been mm, you know questioning the government. Isn't that a kind of anti-national activity? Isn't making the systems hollow from within and rigging them in a manner that the whole aim of this process is to ensure that the party who is in power should remain in power indefinitely? To me, that is the biggest anti-national activity, because that is not how the systems, how democracy, or how the constitution, or how these processes were meant to function in the first place. So yeah, I mean, I find it amazing that whoever the students who have gathered there, and there may be elements among them. Of course, when a protest happens, there will be people and elements who may be more disturbing, who may be of a criminal or antisocial nature, and then branding the whole movement as anti-national, whereas being completely blind and monovratam putting on a monovratam when there are blatant corruptions that are happening. These are systemic corruptions, by the way. This is not corruption of money. It's a corruption of rigging the system in a manner so that nobody can remove you from power. So even if you lose elections, you still win. That is because you have rigged the system. That itself is an anti-national activity. That itself is the biggest anti-national activity. It's like being a moth inside the wood that eats the whole structure from within and makes it crumble and destroys it from within. I mean, what more dangerous activity can be performed than that, if you ask me? It's on the same level as an external threat and attack. We have seen how, as I had mentioned in my previous video, that the Ram Mandir, which was used as a plank for elections all this while, and perhaps there's no single vote, or there is no single, what do you call it, uh, speech, election speech, where this has not been used as a claim to one's Hinduness and how this is the protector of the Hindus and this and that, etc. And yet, when the biggest corruption scandal breaks out, I mean, this is like a huge scandal, more than 200 crores. The reaction of the people. So one is that there can be corruption, but how does one react to that corruption shows you what is one's true intent. Instead of actually going after the sources of the corruption or the people who might be the biggest, who had directly or indirectly enabled the corruption, what we saw was more like trying to find scapegoats, small level people, and letting somehow protecting the larger names in the whole system so that it does not, the fallout of it does not cause any kind of damage to whosoever is behind all these things. Isn't that being anti-national? Isn't that being adharmic? I mean, what is the point of saying Ram Ram and yet enabling such a massive corruption in a temple of this kind of magnitude and importance to the Hindu community? Dharma is not about dialogues. Dharma is not about cozy, uh, flamboyant speeches and then acting just in contrast to what should have been done ideally, what should have been the proper conduct, the natural outrage and the punishment that should have been meted out to people without being protective of them. That was missing in the whole episode. It's still missing, and there's very good chance that in spite of all the so-called the committees and whatever has been set up, there will none of the really powerful people who might be behind this, because if a corruption of this scale has happened, it's unlikely that the people, only the small, the counting person and a few 5 or 6 or 7 small level people are involved and nobody else had any awareness of it. That is that begs the question of that assaults your common sense actually. So what dharma is this, where you make rich dialogues and say this and that, but at the end what you do is completely against the first fundamental principle of being dharmic, that is devotion to the gods and devotion to truth, because the gods function from the plane of truth. What is Bhairava if not the Devata of truth? He is the god who does not allow untruth anywhere near him. That is why he is depicted as fierce, he is depicted as Digambara. He is depicted in that terrifying form because the raw truth is terrifying. He has no party, he has no love, he has no hatred for anybody. Let's put it this way. To him, everybody is same, everything is same. But he also sees. He sees who is really dharmic and who is pretending to be dharmic. He sees what dialogues you give in public and what adharmic activities you do in private. He sees the reality of things as they are, and accordingly he dispenses justice. To him, the biggest saint and the biggest sinner are same because he is absolutely impartial. Because of his impartiality, all who have been rejected by society, we call them bhoot, pret, this, that, etc., everybody gathers under him. He provides shelter to them because if there is truth in you, he will protect that truth. If there is falsehood, he is going to punish you for that falsehood. I am personally very distressed by looking at the videos of all the assault that has happened by the police. In a functioning system, without excuses, this should have brought about strong reactions. In the minimum, there should be an apology from the powers who control the police and punishment meted out to whosoever it was that decided that it is a good idea to throw tear gas onto the protesting students and beat them with the riot police kind of instruments. And then worst of all, why were the police there? I mean, there are enough number of videos on Instagram, police there without name tag. I mean, what exactly were they planning to do? What kind of conspiracy is this? And then whenever you question their they have their bunch of sycophants who will come and say that, oh, it's all anti-national. I mean, what is more anti-national than trying to beat protesters because they're asking the resignation of the minister, which is a fair and square demand? If this kind of a scandal happens, if this kind of an irresponsibility uh, is shown, when there are the lives of millions of students are involved, dreams of students are involved, and they cannot ask for the resignation of the minister, what kind of a system are we living in? That's the question you have to ask. Let's be fair. You should have, if you are a dharmic individual, if you are an upasaka of Bhairava, do not be scared of the truth. There will be difficulties. That's how life is. I had faced the most strongest difficulties when the Kamakhya case had erupted. And I've told many people at times, not the full story, but only a part of it. But then that is what was meant to be done, and that has been done. I mean, I had to gather the people to fight the case and ensure that there are changes that are incorporated into the system so that the water of Kamakhya is not disrupted. Otherwise, they would have 100% destroyed that place. And that is where I saw all these so-called right-wing influencers and the Bhakta Bandali of the government. I saw what is their courage level and what they can do and what they cannot do. So I have that zero. My faith on them is 100% close to zero. So anything that they say, because somehow it's the way things function, because they have to survive, so they need to be cozy to the powers that are there. It gives them access, it gives them whatever other benefits they might be getting. Sometimes they're critical of the government. That's more of like the friendly fire kind of show, pretending to be neutral sort of thing. But when the real deal came about, uh, I saw who stood where and how much. What your actions are what is going to determine who you have put in the place of your Devata. Is it really a god, or is it some politician that you have placed in the pedestal of a god? And so you are duty bound to come in and try and defend even that which is indefensible. These questions will be asked to you, not today, not tomorrow, but these will be asked to you by the deities whom you worship. One day they'll come. Your soul will be asked to, it will be checked whether you have been dharmic or whether you have pretended to be dharmic while your allegiance was to anything other than the gods. And accordingly, the karma phala will come in their lives or in future. To all the people who have mailed to us, and there's a flood of emails that are coming in, even some of my old email IDs that are there, do not lose hope. Specifically increase your sadhana, because remember that Bhairava sees everything, and at the right time justice will be delivered. There is no power, no politician, nobody who is stronger than Bhairava. When he decides, when he sees wrong, and he can see everything, at the right time he will deliver whatever justice needs to be delivered to whom. Because Bhairava cannot be bought by propaganda. He cannot be bought by merely nice dialogues and then doing exactly what is adharmic, and then questioning people whosoever uh, questions the system and branding them as some sort of uh, this fashionable term that has come up, deep state conspiracy. Who knows what it is? I'm just happy that they have not talked about alien conspiracy yet. So the devatas are different. And I've told this before, I've told this multiple times, and I'm telling again, place your faith on the gods. In time, he will deliver. He will deliver justice, because, as they say, when you have lost all hope, when you are in a flux, and when you are in a system where the system has betrayed you, that is when you go to Bhairava. Then you ask for justice. He will take note. He may not do right now, but when the time is right, those who need to be taught a lesson, the arrogant will fall. He will do what needs to be done. And then when the fall comes, they don't even understand kahan se aaya hai. You will go left and right, center. You will use all the power and all the money you have and everything that you can, and yet nothing will be able to stop you. In 2024, I had in a podcast mentioned that when you touch Kamakhya Kshetra without knowing anything, you will get a terrific repercussion. And I think a clipping of that podcast had become viral. There were a lot of views on that. I don't remember how much. And people used to send me those videos. And then the election results came. Uh, I had, in fact, told privately to people that this is how it will go. You have no idea what powers you're playing with, because to satisfy your own ego, you have put whatever your power, your greed, your projection of your own self, or the continuance of your own system as the primary motive, as the primary dharma. When that is done, when you do these kind of things with devatas, you will get the repercussion of it. Because what a deity really likes is that his or her most genuine upasakas, they're not of this plane, they're not fundamentally human. They've been existent before time, before even the creation of earth, before even the biological evolution of human beings. The devatas have been there. They've seen too many things. They've seen great kings, powerful. They've seen arrogant rulers falling. They've seen everything. They don't care. But to them, the sincere prayers of a devotee who is truthful, and especially for Bhairava, he is the god of truth. He sees how much truth you have inside. When Brahma was not truthful, he didn't flinch for a second in cutting off his head. What do you think of other people? When justice has to be delivered, he will deliver in a way when the punished will not even understand ki kyun ye ho raha hai. Because nature gives you chances to rectify. If you have not rectified, after a point, nature is not going to come and do protest, not going to argue with you with your TV in your TV studios. Nature will do what needs to be done. Nature will deliver justice at the right time through the danda of Bhairava. Beware of the gods. Place your faith on them. Do not place your faith on any kind of individual, especially not politicians. In the last one of the videos, I had mentioned that we do not live in an age where it is a fight between Rama and Ravana. It is a fight between two types of Ravana. You have been fooled into believing, brainwashed, that somehow or the other you just put XYZ individual into a godly pedestal and then everything is sorted. That is an insult even to that individual. It is an insult to the deities. It's an insult to your own soul, which is the purest thing that you are born with. We will pass through very difficult times in the coming years. I will not make a prediction about these protests. All I will say is that this is just the beginning. Wait 1-2 years and you will see what and how things shape up. Everybody will be made accountable. Every single corruption will be made accountable by the gods. The rise of Bhairava is not a random phenomenon. He knows things that you and I cannot see. As I said, he sees what dialogues you give in public and what behavior you do away from the cameras. He sees what pretense of dharma you do and what adharmic activity you do in private. He sees how much branding of people as anti-national is done and what kind of corruption is executed, thus affecting and destroying the nation and effectively becoming far more anti-national than perhaps any other direct threat to the nation. He sees all that. Put your faith on him. Increase your sadhana. We will pass through difficult times, we'll pass through times of great churn, we'll pass through times where everybody will be made accountable by forces far higher than you or me. Place your faith on the gods. Don't place your faith on a political party or on a politician. Doesn't matter. You have been bombarded with a lot of sycophants placing all sorts of fantasy ideas onto politicians. Get out of that trap. Get out of that brainwashing. India has a very secure future in very secure place in future. It will take another few decades, but this security, this great position is not going to be achieved by being blind devotees of any human being. Become a blind devotee of the Devata you worship. Become a devotee at the feet of Bhairava. Become a devotee of Kamakhya. Become a devotee of Matara. Become a devotee of Kartikeya. They will never fail you. They will take time, but they will do what is right. And when I say they take time, that is only because they have to balance your own karmas. They don't see an individual, they see an individual from many past lives, how they have come to that place and where they are going and what exactly they are doing. They will do what is best for you. With this, I'll end the video and carry on your sadhana, increase your sadhana, develop faith in the gods, develop faith in Bhairava. He will do what is right. He will deliver justice wherever it needs to be delivered because he never ever fails. Jai Bhairava Baba, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Matara.